Joining us now for 5 insightful minutes is OmniTalk friend and managing director at the A&M Consumer and Retail Group, Joanna Rangarajan. Joanna will be discussing with us the results of her most recent study on navigating the rapid pace of fast fashion. Joanna, we've been hearing about fast fashion for years. First of all, who is Shein and how have they been disrupting the space?
I love that question because the fact that I'm having to explain it, but we'll get started. Who is Shein? They've been a heavy disruptor in the fast fashion space. They are an online fashion retailer. Their product categories span apparel, accessories, and beauty. They are a digitally native brand that originally was based in China and then launched in the US in 2014. And, come 2021, they were the most downloaded app on iOS and Android. So they've been taking over. They have also really disrupted the fast fashion space in large part because of critical elements of their operating model that really and truly are differentiating factors. I think three to highlight that have created a tremendous amount of that disruption are, first, their unprecedented speed. They have a rapid pulse on what trends are resonating, and they have this revolving seasonless product introduction concept where daily they are making product introductions across a variety of categories. Secondly is their agility. They have supercharged lead times that allow them to get product into the market in a matter of days once they make that decision. And they really follow through on this digital first DNA of theirs, enabling their investment pivots in product development and marketing to shift depending on the feedback they're receiving from various trends. And the third is that they are data first and decisive. They collect and analyze customer data and customer behaviors, and then they mobilize on what that says. And what that's done is given fast fashion stalwarts of the world are trying to keep up with this. And those who are trying to get into this space are sort of left a little perplexed on where to start.
Joanna, one of my favorite parts of your article is where you describe 5 elements of the Shein operating model that brands can leverage to stay relevant in the rapid world of fashion. Can you share a quick summary of what those elements are?
Absolutely. I think taking a page from their playbook, but thinking about how that could be adapted for a variety of brands. Let me just first emphasize a few of Shein's outcomes that make you say, why would I want to do this? They've reached 45 billion in sales and they've doubled their profits in the last year. So with that in mind, the 5 things that our study highlights that we've found are first incorporating the consumer voice in design and merchandising. So not waiting until product is in market, on site, or in shelf, but actually starting up front in the process. The second is optimizing a supply base that has the ability to pivot quickly with you. And that includes reinforcing with parallel manufacturing. Multiple partners making the same thing at the exact same time can increase the speed of that product getting to the consumer's hands. The third is this reinterpretation of sampling and really pushing the limits on where we can reduce our lead times and get rid of waste generative physical samples and going with digitized versions of product at virtually any part of the process that a brand can imagine. The fourth is reinvigorating go-to-market timelines. I mentioned lead times a moment ago, but really segmenting calendars to have faster trend categories operate very differently. If brands do that, they could see a 70 to 75% reduction in their go-to-market lead time off a traditional 40-week retail calendar. And then lastly is revamping a social media marketing element of that, staying at the forefront of consumers' minds, meeting them squarely in their path to purchase. The best product that we have is only as good as if we're telling people that we have it.
Joanne, I want to double click into that first one you mentioned a little bit, the consumer as an extension of design. So my question there is, how can brands still listen to the consumer voice when they're all time pressured for speed, but then there's also this backdrop of inflation and also a continued demand for sustainability? How do you sort all that out?
There are 3 big things that brands can do in this space. One is customer reviews and surveys. That can happen at any stage of the design and product development process. And that could be sharing design concepts, engaging reactions, anything from general interest to reaction to color offering to product A versus product B. So using that as an upfront tool. The second is in actual product testing. Put things out there, see what sticks, and get back into it as quickly as possible. So seeking those signals from our existing, but also our aspirational customers, brands should treat as their true north as they're getting that information back, and then acting on what the customer tells them. And the third is around actual consumer and customer analytics. The cultivation and capture of data is one piece of it, but then it needs to be reviewed, it needs to be reacted to, and you have to actually do something with that information. But if brands can take all of those various levers or various tools, they can apply the voice of the consumer sort of throughout their design and development cycle.
What's at stake for brands struggling to keep up, and how do you recommend they get started?
What ultimately is at stake is share of wallet, right? Discretionary spending is still down. So you must be there meeting the customer where they are with what they want. And all of the things that we've discussed in this time together can improve both P&L and balance sheet metrics, from top line expansion to improved margin to improved sell-through to reduced inventory positions overall. Just a note, Shein has 10% unsold inventory compared to an industry average of 30. So you get a lot there in doing this. But how to get started? It's pretty simple. Commit with conviction that you want to start addressing this is step one. Step two is listening to what the consumer says and what they're telling you, and be decisive about that. Don't revisit throughout the pipeline. Listen and react. And the third is start, pilot, test, learn, modify, repeat, and just get started.
Thanks,
Thank
Joanna.
you, Joanna.